Man, Vandy is serious when it comes to building in the trenches. 2 big-time commits. Welcome to West End, Gunnar Givens. Welcome to West End, Aaron Bryant. Let's go.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, the college football playoff is here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The college football playoff presented by Allstate begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max. So, bowl practices are going very well. Speaking of which, there's some guys making some strides and quite an impression on Coach Lea. And Coach Lea and crew have landed 2 big-time commits from the portal. It shows that we're very serious about building in the trenches. That's what I love to see, because this is one of the things that I think down the stretch, it hindered this team. It really did. Like down the stretch, the depth in the trenches, guys got worn out. There wasn't enough guys to come in and rotate in, especially on the defensive line. The run defense it regressed. Let's just be honest about it. It regressed. And a lot of that was because guys were banged up, they were beat up, they were tired. There just wasn't the depth that a lot of teams have down the stretch. And that was to be expected, honestly. We knew that coming in. That was part of what we expected. Brand new strength and conditioning program, not quite where it wants to be just yet. It's on the right track, but not quite where it wants to be yet. But Clark Lea and company recognized this. The recruiting staff recognized this. The staff that's in charge of scouting for the transfer portal, the offensive line and defensive line coaches, the staffs, everyone inside that building recognized that this was a big need. And they've started to address it. There's more coming probably, but I think these are the first 2 dominoes that are going to fall in that regard as well. So far, Vandy's done a really good job in the portal. Couldn't say this again. I can't say this enough. What a difference a year's made, right? This time last year, again, I need to remind you of kind of where Vandy was to understand just kind of how big of a deal it is to see where Vandy is right now. All right. This time a year ago, right? I'm fresh on the scene here with this podcast and trying to figure out if Clark Lea is going to be around. Can't get anybody to commit because who's gonna come to Vandy after what they just witnessed, and after realizing that if I got 2-3 years of eligibility, I'm not going to commit to a program that's going to be searching for a new head coach only to be in the portal again. Fast forward a year. There's a lot more stability, a lot more NIL money being doled out. The new facilities are taking shape. There's a whole brand new culture, new strength program. Just everything is different. Everything is flipped on its head, and Vandy has become a viable program. That's why you're seeing more attention. Are they quite to the level of Ole Miss or Georgia or what Auburn's getting, what South Carolina's getting? Not quite yet, but they're trending that way because Nashville's a great city and NIL potential is great here. And so this is why you're seeing this little bit of resurgence, okay? I say all of that to say Gunnar Givens, Aaron Bryant, welcome to the squad, all right? These are 2 big depth pieces that Vandy needed to add. And what I've seen from Clark Lea and the defensive staff, especially the linebackers, the defensive line, edge coach, all the front 7 guys, what I've seen is like these guys have the ability to get a lot out of these guys. So yeah, Aaron Bryant hasn't played a whole lot of reps at Texas. He appeared, I think, in 13 games, but not much stat-wise. But he did have an impact. I think this staff in a bigger role is going to be able to pull a lot more out of Aaron Bryant because that guy's a 4-star recruit. He's coming from Mississippi. He understands, again, he understands the atmospheres in the SEC. He played in the SEC. So he understands all that. He's a 4-star guy. He's super talented, fast, big, physical defensive lineman. I think will add a massive, major element to this defensive line. I think with the run against the run, especially if you have somebody that can come off the ball and get hands on a center or a guard, depending on where the front is. If you got somebody that can do that and disrupt, which Aaron Bryant is, he's a disruptor. I think you have something viable there on the defensive line. I think, and if you have a guy that can be part of a rotation, right? So you always have some fresh guys in there. I think they're starting to build depth at that position, which is amazing. Okay. And he played in 13 games. He only recorded 2 tackles, but then again, probably commanding a lot of double teams. Teams were probably running to the outside a lot. Teams were probably throwing a lot on him. He probably, his total snap count, without looking at it, without diving into some of the nitty gritty stats, which in this case, I don't think really will tell you what you really want to know. He's probably in a really deep, talented room at Texas and just couldn't quite crack the rotation as much as he wanted to. And that's why he's in the portal, right? But he's a 4-star guy. Like, you can't deny the talent. They're going to be able to do something with that talent, and I'm very excited about it. And Clark Lea has proven that when he is the defensive coordinator and he is calling the plays, which I don't know what he's going to do about that next year. I don't know if he's going to gradually release that responsibility and put it on somebody on the staff. I don't know who that would be, but regardless of what happens, I think Clark Lea has proven that he can call the defenses. He has proven that he knows schematically what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to take away from the opponent. And now he's finally starting to build the roster to be able to have the guys that it's going to allow him to call things on a consistent basis, to be more aggressive. I think I think by necessity defensively, they had to go conservative. I don't like that, but they had to, because they just couldn't sustain. And now I think you add that piece. You had Keanu Coate on the edge. You get another piece there as well. This front seven's really starting to take shape. There's some guys in bowl prep that I'll talk about later that are starting to impress you. Austin Howard coming in. I think he's going to be somebody that could be ready sooner rather than later and I think he's an early enrollee too. But with time in the strength and conditioning program, I think he's somebody that really can come on. So I really love this signing of Aaron Bryant, defensive lineman from Texas. But I'm also excited about what we got on the offensive line. Gunnar Givens, offensive lineman, Virginia Tech. The stats on him, he is 6'5", 325 pounds. He's listed as an interior guy. I think he's somebody that could cross-train, and I really like what he has. Okay. And he didn't play many snaps for Vandy, or didn't play any snaps for Vandy. He didn't play many snaps for Virginia Tech. He's also a former 4-star recruit. I think he's going to have 2 years of eligibility, if I remember correctly. But watching him, seeing the size, the quickness, the athleticism, I think really kind of jumps off the page at you. I mean, you just watch him move around. You watch their high school highlights too, and you can gain a lot of stuff from their high school highlights. Honestly, you can gain a lot from that. Just seeing the athleticism, how they moved because a lot of high school programs don't have great strength and conditioning programs, so you can just kind of see their core, their base athleticism in high school, because they haven't really trained all that much yet. And even in an advanced world of where people have their own personal trainers and strength and conditioning at the high school level is getting tremendously better by leaps and bounds, but it's still hit or miss. And you can see a guy's core athleticism, and I like what I see there. I like the size. I think, he's a depth guy, obviously. I think can compete for a starting job, especially as a strong guard, being 6'5", 325 pounds. You get a little bit of athleticism there. I think he's somebody that can really kind of play that role. So I can't understate just you don't sign anybody in the high school class for offensive line. You need depth pieces. So there is something to this. But I really like his leverage. I really like his toughness coming off the ball. I really like what he's able to do. Watching some of the practice footage now, I think he, stance wise, he could probably be fixed a little bit. There are some concerns as far as some things that he does coming out of his stance. But I think once he gets his hands on you, he has good drive. He has good hand placement. He has good fundamentals and techniques once he gets out of his stance. I think working to be more explosive out of his stance will be good. But I think just naturally, as somebody that's that big, I think is a pretty good athlete. He just doesn't really start as fast as you want him to, which again can be worked out, can be drilled out of him. Kalinakis is a really good developer of offensive line talent. I mean, to get the production out of this year's offensive line that he got was amazing, and it was you get the most out of those guys. And he had the best five out there. I think pass pro. I mean, it wasn't consistent. Don't get me wrong. It was like I wouldn't rank Vandy's offensive line as one of the best in the country, but like for what we had to make a shuffle move midseason from with Losoya from guard to center and Castillo from guard Losoya from center to guard and Castillo from guard to center. Excuse me. Castillo couldn't move. He was, and playing center in this scheme is probably a little bit better for a big guy that can't really move, because you're getting a lot of zero nose, you're getting a lot of one techniques, and you're just coming off the ball and really just double teaming guy at the point of attack. You, as a center in this scheme and what Vandy was wanting to do, they didn't really ask Castillo to really get up on the second level, and probably benefited him. So big time pieces there. Gunnar Givens gives you depth at worst case scenario, but I think there's some things fundamentally that he can work on to really get himself as a constant rotator and possibly even a starter. But him getting in the system, coming in January, I think, and having a spring practice session will be massive for him, pun intended. And I think this is going to be fun for everybody concerned. But two really good guys coming in from the portal. I'm really excited about both of these guys. You should be too. Don't let the stats deter you. These guys have good natural talent. Don't let they're 4 stars. They're talented. They got signed to big programs, right? There's some things technically that they could both probably work on. I get it. But I'm excited about it. They're building depth in the trenches, and that's one of the biggest needs for Vanderbilt this offseason. Excited to see it. Bowl prep is going really well too. We'll talk about that next. All right, get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. And I bet you can go play the college football as well, the college football playoff. There's going to be plenty of bets there as well. You can take a parlay. You can take whatever you want. If you get a hunch in the middle of a game, so let's say you want to live bet the Notre Dame-Indiana game, well, you can go check out the latest stats. You can view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can place those live bets. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. I don't know if you want to listen to me on this one, but I've got a wild hair, and I'm gonna take Indiana on Friday. I think they upset Notre Dame. Yeah, I'm gonna take them. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. That's my hunch. And make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Well, it's this ad read block is all about the fantasy sports. So what is PrizePicks? That's right. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. So run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. All right, so here's the thing, man. Here's what I love. PrizePicks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. If you were worried about not being able to pay with MasterCard before, don't worry about that anymore. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So when you win that 1,000 times on your bet, you can get it fast. And when your picks hit, I can get my money as quick as 15 minutes, right? That 1,000 times your cash, you can get it in 15 minutes. Really good. PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. I love it. So join now, because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30 million+ in rewards during Picksmas. That's right, Picksmas. That's the new holiday. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you pay $5. You don't even need to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big buyouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts a select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So if you think James Cook will get more than 60 yards next week, or Joe Burrow will pass for more than 1.5 touchdowns, well, you can cook up those hot takes with your friends. You can win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC. We squad up every Thursday. We drop it every Thursday. Hope you guys don't get too mad at me because I think the Vols are going to upset Ohio State. I'm going to give away my pick there. So don't get too mad at me. I just think it's going to happen. It's just more about me not believing in Ohio State more so than believing in Tennessee. But so don't get too mad at me on that one. I'm not rooting for the Vols. I just think they'll beat Ohio State. So also, let me know, who are you more excited about? Gunnar Givens, Aaron Bryant. What are your thoughts on the trenches, how they're building in the trenches? Leave those in the comments, right? I want to be able to conversate with you guys. Even though you're not here, I still want to be able to conversate with you guys. I still want you guys to respond. I want this to be more of a discussion in an odd way. I want to be, a little bit more engaging. So I appreciate the feedback as well. All the feedback that I've gotten has been good. Has been valuable. So keep that coming as well. But bowl prep is going really, really well, I'm hearing. Clark Lea had his press conference today. Super excited about that. Some encouraging news out of bowl prep. And I was surprised at how candid he was about Diego Pavia in his case. I was surprised at how much detail he gave, because usually coach speak is just that. It's just coach speak. It's just like, I'm going to give you as much information as you need to do your job, because I want to help you do your job, but I'm not going to give anything away. And it seems to me like he almost let it slip that he thinks Diego Pavia is coming back. And when I listened to the press conference, and I know I'm supposed to get into bowl prep, but this is some encouraging news. It seems to me like Clark Lea feels good, which I think kind of explains why they're not super aggressive in the portal, because if they had negative feelings, I kind of think they would have gone after Michael Van Buren. I know I would have. I don't know if they had a chance at him. I don't know the details behind that, but when Michael Van Buren hit the portal, I know that I would have gone after him. He's he was my favorite quarterback that John Mateer, Michael Van Buren are my 2 favorite quarterbacks that hit the portal. I was like, if you land one of these 2 guys, this ball game, right? And the guy I talked about yesterday from Penn State, I think would be a phenomenal scheme fit. I think the way he plays, but this thing's going to, I'm hoping by the end of this week, we'll know on Diego Pavia one way or the other. And, I know it's a long shot because these things are just long shots, because it's unprecedented. There's nothing you can really look at to say one way or the other. Like, I just think since it's such a new thing, I think the NCAA and the courts, they have a chance to just kind of side with the big organization and the NCAA and just say, all right, we're just going to go with the flow here. You're done with your eligibility. Made a good case, but sorry, right? I think it's still a long shot. I could be surprised. And I think there's a chance. I mean, I would still consider it a long shot, but I think Clark Lea feels good about the case they laid out. Diego Pavia obviously feels good about the case they laid out. And I think they've made things interesting for the NCAA and for the courts. And I think that's why it's kind of dragging out, because they're trying to figure out really what they want to do. The fact that this wasn't a slam dunk gives you hope. Even though it's still a long shot, but I think the fact that it's not a slam dunk should give you some hope there. It should give you that second thought of, well, maybe Diego Pavia does come back. And if he does come back, if he does win this thing, that's massive news. I know everybody else in the SEC would hate it, because especially Hugh Freeze is, I would love to see his reaction if Diego Pavia wins this case. But I just know the impact that he has on this team from a leadership perspective, especially. I think a second year with this group in this scheme, it would be his fourth year in the scheme for him. I think you would see a massive jump from this Vanderbilt team, right? I think some of these close games would tip in their favor because, they're building depth now to be able to finish these games. I think if they can add some pieces at wide receiver or develop some of the guys they have on the roster at least, or have somebody out there that can make a play down the field, and if Diego Pavia can be protected long enough for him to deliver it, and if he can deliver it accurately, you have a chance to be a really, really good team, a really complete team. And that's some of those elements is what they were missing as to why they couldn't quite get over the hump in some of these games, why they couldn't quite get over the hump against Missouri, and defensively as well. I think, you gave Luther Burden some matchup problems, or some matchup, I guess you did him favors in matchups, I should say. Probably a better way of saying that. So that was encouraging to hear Clark Lea just kind of, it almost seemed like he was trying to hide. He was like, I think he almost let it slip, and he was like, oh crap. Yeah, I can't say anything. It sounded like he had to backpedal a little bit, but he seems really excited about the chances of Diego Pavia coming back. Everyone knows it's a long shot, but I think he's pretty excited about what's happening there. Some other encouraging bowl news from what I listened to from Clark Lea's press conference today. Stephen Hubbard is somebody that can play tackle in the bowl game. Looking at what Robbie Weinstein has written on 24/7. I heard that. I thought I heard that, and then I read what Robbie wrote, and I was like, yeah, I did hear that right. He played left tackle at UTEP. He has some experience there. There's some merit to that. I like that idea. I want to see these guys cross train, right? And Mizell Sandoval, again, if he can make some strides, I think that would be a really good storyline, because he's somebody that I think a lot of people had kind of written off as he was I thought he was going to hit the portal. I thought he was going to be a guy that it just wasn't going to work out for one reason or another. And I just, it just didn't, in my mind, seem like it was going to work out. But here we are. He's making some strides. He's impressing Coach Klenakis. He's impressing Coach Lea, obviously. He's making a bunch of strides. So that's encouraging. I think you're getting some good offensive line news there. And then with Gunnar Givens, that's some even better news coming in. So some things happening on the offensive line. Jamison Curtis on defense, he's showing some good stuff in practice. He's starting to make a name for himself. He's getting some reps in some of these situations. I think the way they're practicing is really good too. But I'm going to continue this, right? There's a lot of good news here. I got really excited. I'll continue this here in just a second. So I get a little ahead of myself sometimes. So stay tuned. Right. It's that time of year, guys. It's college football playoff. It's back. And with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT sports coverage, especially of the college football playoff, begins on December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 10 a.m. Central Time, leading into our first matchup, which is the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. That's a very official way to read it. Then Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch College Football Playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. And I'm hoping they get Charles Barkley, which would be totally out of the blue and out of left field. But I think getting Charles Barkley to talk college football would be amazing. That's just a little side note. Also, if you're in need of chiropractic services, I was going to say if you're in the Vandy area or if you're in the Bellevue area, you should go to the Bellevue location. But you should visit the Joint Chiropractic. Man, they do so much good stuff. Like every time I walk out of there, I feel so loose, so free. Like I just get a jolt of energy because I'm in good alignment. And Dr. Nolan at the Joint takes really good care of me. He has the first 2 times I've been there, the only 2 times I've been there so far. He's taken really good care of me. I feel good. I feel great, actually, and they do a phenomenal job. So visit a location near you. They have great membership packages that you can sign up for, monthly packages, and it's worth it, guys. It really is, and they offer a ton of good stuff. So visit the Joint. Make sure you do it. You won't regret it. I promise you. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. We are wrapping up the show. We are short on time. So much good discussions that I just couldn't quite peel away. But 2 big commits will do that. Encouraging news from bowl prep. Diego Pavia's case. There should be some resolution on that. So that's encouraging one way or the other, because I think that really just puts the next move in Vandy's corner, whether or not they want to get a quarterback. But, the way they're practicing also, I think is really good. I think it's really smart because, with the news that you're hearing and the things you're hearing about some of these developmental guys like Dante Carter, who I think got a little overwhelmed at the beginning of the season, didn't play as much throughout the course of the season because I just think for freshmen it's in this league it's difficult. And when you're playing positions like safety or, offensive line or, some of the higher thinking positions where there's a lot happening in front of you, it's a little bit harder to adjust. So getting development for guys like that, Jamison Curtis, some of these linebackers and some of these like freshman guys that didn't get a whole lot of game action, I think are really starting to develop. And the way they're practicing, the way they're doing that, I think they're doing it the right way. And Lee, let me know if you think they're doing it the right way, because I think you could, and Clark Lee said it best, you could be paralysis by analysis. We could have, from day one, started working on Georgia Tech and got every aspect of what Georgia Tech does. But honestly, it's the Birmingham Bowl. Okay, let's just be honest about what it is. It's an exhibition game. It's a bowl game, and there's no national title on the line. There's no you get that 7th win, and that's great. But these bowl practices for a team like Vandy is just about developing guys. It's about making sure that you do build that quality depth, because you can't build all of your depth from the transfer portal. And with Vandy not having a mass exodus of players leaving this year compared to last is very, very encouraging as well. And those guys deserve the reps, right? And your starters get the reps too. And you are sprinkling some Georgia Tech stuff in there. You are making it relevant, but you're probably, what I'm guessing without knowing the practice schedule is they're having more team periods. They're having more scrimmage periods, more 7-on-7 periods where guys get a chance to get out there and really compete. So you're probably seeing Jeremy St. Hilaire or Whit Muschamp or Drew Dickey throwing the ball. Obviously Diego Pavia is getting his reps as QB1, but you're seeing these guys get meaningful reps. You're seeing these receivers working against live action. You're seeing these linemen playing in real football situations and not just walk-through settings and, game week prep type practice stuff, right? You're not seeing all of that. And that's what this is all about, developing these young guys while sprinkling in game plan stuff. Now, they will start to get to some – he did say they will start to get to some game plan stuff, which is good. And I think a win is important. I don't want to understate that. I don't know if it sounded like I said winning is not important. If it did, it's not what I mean. Winning is always the goal, but I think the way they're going about it is great because they're developing these guys and they're making sure they properly evaluate what they have on the roster. You know, how hard do they need to continue to go after receiver in the portal with some of these guys coming in? I still think they need that alpha guy. I don't know who that is, but they need that dominant alpha guy on the outside. So, but bowl practice is very, very encouraging so far from what we're hearing. Again, we can only go on what we're hearing because none of us are at bowl practice. It's not an open practice, not an open look, but very, very encouraging stuff from Vanderbilt this time, this year versus last. And I think it's going to be a more encouraging offseason and more encouraging portal season for Vandy. And I think you're going to see some more commits. I hope to have some more commits to talk about on later episodes. But I'm going to leave you there today, and we'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network at Coach Burton 36 is the personal X account at Locked On Vandy and all social media platforms. Thank you for the feedback. Keep on coming. Keep on supporting. I appreciate you guys no matter what you say. And we'll holler at you later. Anchor down. Behave yourselves. Peace.